Good evening and welcome to Anime-Zing Radio here on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. I'm your host, Doug Engler. Joining me as always in the co-host seats is our good friends Angela Rose.
Hi.
And of course, Mr. Darren Starling.
Happy New Year, people.
And we want to remind everybody, Anime-Zing Radio is brought to you tonight by Home Circle Media for the latest and greatest in anime gear, everything from pens, pencils, stationery, and officially licensed art books. Be sure to check out homecirclemedia.com today or look for them at an upcoming convention near you. We're also brought to you tonight by Casey Fox. For all of your artwork, cosplay, and commission needs, be sure to check out Casey Fox. That's KAYCIFOXX on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Again, Happy New Year to everybody. This is our first show of 2023. I hope everybody had a wonderful Christmas and holiday season. Hopefully you had safe travels out there. I know I got yelled at for traveling over Christmas because it was a major snowstorm the day that we left for what should have been a 6.5-hour drive turned into a 9-hour drive to Pennsylvania, and I had some people yelling at me for still going, but I wasn't missing the holidays with my family.
As long as you weren't one of those idiots driving normal speeds in the middle of a snowstorm, I can't give you shit.
I was not, and like I said, there were times we were doing 30 on the highway. So we were being safe. I had precious cargo in the car. I was definitely being safe. But we are excited. Tonight we're going to take a look back at the animes of 2022. We have created top 5 lists of our top 5 favorite shows of 2022, and this goes across the entire year. We didn't break it down by seasons. I do have me personally, I have at least one show from every season.
Now that I look at my list, I might.
And I watched 29 anime that came out in the calendar year of 2022.
I did not count how many I watched. I probably should have.
I didn't finish all of them, but that's how many I started.
I didn't count either. But
HH, and I don't think that's the rule outside of Massachusetts.
I would argue that that's more of a Vermont thing.
Possibly. In Vermont, everybody's got the big souped-up trucks with the big tires, and they can't do too much modifications to them because that, like any body rod or whatnot, I know fails in Vermont. They're very strict on their inspection policies.
However, on the highways, on 89, once you cross the border, their signs say minimum 50.
But we are excited to be back here on the show. Had a nice couple-week break. I don't know if it felt weird to you guys, especially Christmas Sunday, being like, we don't have a show tonight.
The past 2 Sundays kind of felt weird because I was able to fall asleep and not get crap for it.
Nah, Christmas I was with family, and we ended up getting home on the late side. New Year's was just kind of weird.
New Year's, I was out by 10 o'clock.
New Year's, it was like, New Year's Day, it was like, oh, well, I've been awake all day. Huh, no show. Weird.
It is nice to get that little break and recharge every now and then. But we are back. We have a lot of good stuff planned for 2023. Definitely looking forward to what this year has to offer. But tonight's not about looking ahead. Tonight we're going to look back at the shows, the animes, and some of the fun that we had watching these shows and, picking fights with each other, jokingly.
You two and your
over our
isekai.
good or bad tastes in anime. Some of us really enjoy the overrated shows.
Eh,
Some of us are isekai trash.
And the overrated shows did not make my top 5. Either of them.
And me being isekai trash, one isekai made my top 5.
I mean, hell,
Mm,
we could argue that Spy Family is overrated.
we could, and no isekais made my top 5.
And hello to HH and Ross. Thank you for tuning in tonight. I hope you guys had a wonderful holiday season. We are happy to be back. And I say we jump right in, to our top 5 lists off the bat. Because we were also talking about, we all have shows that were kind of big letdowns. A lot of hype going into sequels in 2022 that really just bombed, in our opinions.
I suppose on that note, I'll start by saying that my top 5 does not include the the final or part 2 of the final season of Attack on Titan. And as I've said before, that's a show I really, really enjoy, but I couldn't, in good faith, put that on my top 5. The same with My Hero Academia. The new
I'm
season,
proud of. I am proud of you.
the new season is good, but there were other shows that were, in my opinion, just better.
For Ross, we were talking the entire year of 2022 from January 1st to December 31st. Any animes that aired in that time frame is what we chose to do our top 5 from. Darren had asked about breaking it down into different categories, sequels versus originals, but I'm too lazy to do that. I just put everything into one. And
Same.
number 5 on the list. Ladies first. We'll let Angela go first with her number 5.
My number 5, surprisingly enough, is going to be the one that I think at least one of you has in their list, if not both. My number 5 is actually going to be Dress Up Darling.
I do have that in my list. It is not number 5. It's a little bit higher up.
Same here.
So we all have at least 2 in common, I'm going to suspect.
And Dress Up Darling. I made the bold prediction when it first aired, and I think I watched 2 episodes, and I called Marin as best girl, not number 1 waifu, not any other category other than best girl of the year. There were some that were contenders, but I feel like I can stand by Marin as best girl for 2022 based off of the shows that I personally watched. 29 animes that I watch. It might be more. I might have forgotten some looking through my anime list.
I will make a case for your being better, but
Yor I put more as a waifu because she's actually a waifu, but Marin I think is best girl based off of like personality, how she interacts with the main character, everything like that. Um, just overall, like especially in the episode when she realized he was like overworking himself to try to finish the first cosplay so she could make a convention she had no plans on going to, but he didn't know that, and she burst into tears feeling like she pushed this guy too far without actually doing it. It was like, you don't really see characters that have that kind of compassion in anime, and it was like that just made her like S tier.
I'll give you that.
Like the raw emotion side that they brought out in that character is what made her, in my opinion, best girl of the year.
All right, all right.
I
So that
concur.
being That being said, so what did you guys have for number 5?
Number 5 for Darren.
Okay, you got me. This one, I kind of have to throw a tie in. And the only reason I say that is because they were both new seasons. However, both are exceptional anime. Okay, so this one, the tiebreaker would be, of course, an isekai, and that is the fourth season of Overlord. But my original pick before remembering Overlord aired this year, it's got to go to Mob Psycho season 3. That ending was spectacular. Like there's no other way around it. It's I think the only anime this year I gave a 9 out of 10 for both quality and content and story, and because they could have ended everything with season 2, but they chose not to, and I'm glad they didn't because season 3 just took what we thought was a good ending and just blew it out of the water.
See, that's on my list of shows to go back to. Because I've heard nothing but good things, but I've never seen any of it, so
Same here. I haven't seen any of it, so it's like I
so
don't know if I want to take the time to go back and rewatch or take the time and go back and watch it. Maybe if there's a
Um,
season that doesn't have a ton of shows that interest me, I might try to do that.
well, that's where
please
I'm at for this season, so
please do, and I'll say this: it has some of the best fight scenes in anime, period, hands down. In the story, season 1 was, even though it was the first of several really good fights and expertly well done in the animation department, it the first fight in season 1 is hands down the best of the bunch.
For me, for my number 5, I went the music route. I actually have 2 music-based animes on my list. Number 5 for me was Shine Post because that show in and of itself, in my opinion, was just an absolutely amazing idol anime that dealt with kind of some real problems, a lot of hidden personal issues in the character development. It wasn't your love life story of let's save our school, which we've seen a million times over and over and over again. They actually had, idols like you had 2 girls from a rival idol group who originally were a part of the main one, and they broke away to try to push one of their friends out of personal issues that she was having, trying to force her to just prove to everybody that she's as talented as she really is and not to hold back. And the storyline was really good. The music was fantastic in it. And I hyped up about Shine Post thanks to our friend Rob. Uh, the entire season it was airing. As much as I watched it, I was hyping it up. I could not leave that off the list. So I'm sure that surprises neither of you that I put that on the list.
nope, none
Nope,
whatsoever.
nope. And as a disclaimer, people in the chat, please comment on our tastes. We want to hear from you.
And let us know what shows that you enjoyed. And hello
Yeah,
to Spike Bebop and John Knight and Trisha who have joined us.
See,
and
Ross, I gotta hear yours. Since you're here, I gotta hear your top 5. So please follow along with us.
this could be interesting to hear Ross's. I would also be curious if Mario joins us. I'd be curious
Yeah,
to see what his top 5 would be as well. But let's move on to number 4, and we'll continue with the same rotation
all
throughout the top
right.
5.
Number 4. See, order's hard. And this one's a 4 and 3 is really a toss up for me. But I'm going to go with the one that I think will be the big surprise and say number 4 would be Tokyo 24. That I don't even think I talked about much when it was running.
I don't think I've heard you talk about that one at all.
I think she did more talking off the air about that show than she did on the air about it.
And that
And it
would
doesn't
make sense
surprise
because I
me.
was probably asleep.
That would make sense. Basically,
I forgot that aired this year or last year, but
it was in fact winter. It was in fact a winter anime. It was a very it was a shonen, but not. It was very. You have you have three guys. You have basically a concept of Tokyo is split up into wards, where it's basically where basically it's policed by robots.
So kind of like Berlin was per
It,
se.
but it didn't start out that way. And basically, you've got these three kids who grew up together, and as young kids, they were like best friends. An accident happened, somebody died. Yes, John, Tokyo 24th Ward.
This
And
also kind of sounds like Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds.
but ultimately the end result is the ghost of a dead person is helping our three main characters save the world. And by the world I mean their hometown.
interesting.
And it was a very out there, very oddball, under the radar show.
But it's something that sounds like it'd be right in your wheelhouse.
Yep, 100%.
Which is why it made your top 5.
Bingo.
How about you, Darren? What do you have for number 4?
Okay, this one may be a bit of a shocker for the lower rating it gets, but I'm gonna have to give Spy Family my number 4.
Interesting. Yeah,
In
I
terms
do.
of quality for the show, it's definitely up there in the top for the entire year. However, in terms of enjoyability, um, there are several shows I enjoyed more, and was a little bit more biased towards. So that's part of the reason that it's on the lower end of my top 5.
That's understandable.
Yeah, no, I'll give you that.
I'm. When you say that, I could probably switch. If I went off of enjoyability as well as all the other factors I put in, it might move in my list. But I'm going to keep my list as it is. And Spy Family is one that is on my list as well.
Ditto.
So here's a rarity. 3 people who have very different tastes in anime agreed on 2 animes for their top 5. All 3 of us. I kind of figured it was going to happen, but
I did too. I also kind of figured those are the only 2 we're going to agree on, period. End of story.
Considering Bow Fury didn't air last year, yeah, I agree.
Spy Family is a fantastic show. You will find stuff that you will enjoy more. I like the uniqueness of it. Anya is adorable. I've seen people talk about that they don't like the show because the way it's drawn, the art style, Anya looks weird, da 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 da. I'm like, A, she's a kid. So if you're looking for sexy anime girls, Spy Family is not the way to go outside of your and the white haired chick. But, she's just weird.
Spy Family, but for those criticizing the art style, and not enjoying the show because of the art style, I can 100% respect that. And because that's one of those, for some people, the art style alone can kill a show.
Yeah, I won't watch JoJo's Bizarre Adventure because of the art style. I refuse to.
I won't watch JoJo because of the bad writing. But
My number 4 was a tie. I couldn't figure out which one to take the spot, and I was like, I'm just gonna put both of these in there. So I have a tie between how a realist hero rebuilt a kingdom season 4 or season 2 that did start in 2021, and I absolutely loved it. Season 2 aired in winter 2022, and just continued to be amazing. And the way they ended it, it made it all make sense. To when I rewatched it a second time, I was almost floored by how much they tied the story, the end of season 2 into episode 1 of season 1. So I was very impressed by the writing and how everything tied together. It's one of those animes. It does not need a third season. I feel like they got the entire storyline out there in 2 seasons, 24 episodes. The writing was fantastic. The storyline was really good. And it was a show that really just sucked me in. And I couldn't wait. There was very few shows this year that that it's like, I need to see the next episode like yesterday, and I have to wait a week. And this was one of those shows that had me hooked for 2 seasons. That being said, the another one that actually kind of had me hooked in, even though I didn't talk a ton about it, but I've seen it in the top 5 of many people's 2022 anime lists. Bocchi the Rock was actually really, really good, and the last couple episodes really cemented it for me, saying the anime was actually a lot better than I was expecting it to be.
It's definitely on my list,
I,
considering I've heard so much about it.
I think you would enjoy it. I like the growth that the main character that they nicknamed Bochi goes through. She never comes out of her shyness or her social awkwardness phase in the first season, but you definitely see some growth there, and you see her doing some things that you wouldn't expect. Plus, Bochi is she's one of those hidden cute characters. She dresses in like jogging pants, doesn't look all that attractive or whatnot. And then there's one episode where her class does a maid cafe for a school festival, and you're like, actually, she's kind of cute, but you wouldn't expect it because she
Mm,
hides it because she has so little self esteem. And
but but jogging pants, I'm sorry, that's cute.
jogging pants with a skirt.
Just saying, cute.
I'm nope. I got
Look,
nothing to that.
my first crush, she loved to wear that type of stuff, so I'm biased.
Ross says number 5 for him was Parallel World Pharmacy. It was a good paced, good storyline, but the cliffhanger, I need to know more. Parallel World Pharmacy was pretty good. I don't know why in the last couple of years we got so many animes about people starting pharmacies, and why I watched all of them. And Angela started one of them.
I did, and I need to go back to that. See, I think this season's just going to be me going back to stuff I started, actually enjoyed, and then got sidetracked because reasons.
So Angela's working on the forbidden list, or aka the dreaded list, the long list, the list.
Well, there's ones that I started. Well, I suppose we can save that for the end, but there's ones that I started that I will that just know that I did not like at all.
And hello, Iris. Yes, Yoshino figure, since we are in the year of the bunny, and this is the closest thing to a bunny figure that I own. We brought Yoshino out with Yoshinon, since Yoshinon is a bunny puppet. So I figured that was only fitting. And the character in the background is Celia from By the Grace of the Gods. You can't see her very well, but she is a bunny girl from that show. And since season 2 of By the Grace of the Gods dropped today, I thought it was fitting to put that up there. I need to go and watch it once we're off the air, because I didn't realize it dropped today, but that is why the bunny theme.
The only bunny thing I own is Mai's Sakurajima's Dakimakura, but she is not out. She is in hiding.
Fair.
And we couldn't get Angela to dress up in a bunny girl outfit, so.
God, no.
Oh,
Even if
come
we had
on.
discussed this beforehand, that
We
would have
did?
there's the only way I would do something like that is if
If I crossplayed,
well, there would be that. We could do the challenge of which one of us looks better in a dress. But no. Just no.
okay, come on, we couldn't get you to be Bulma. If you actually get that joke, then you actually watch the original Dragon Ball.
I think I paid attention to Dragon Ball for about 5 minutes before deciding it was dumb and ignoring it.
Long story short, in the very beginning, I'm sure you at least know the characters based on their appearances.
Meh. This was
Bulma, blue-haired chick, scientist, human.
Yeah.
Roshi, old man.
Oh, I think I know what you're
But
referring to.
when they first met, Bulma was stuck in a bunny girl costume.
I do not remember this, but this was also
Many moons ago.
also a lifetime ago, and AKA my second year of college.
Well, Dragon Ball aired over 30 years ago, so it aired back in the 80s.
Fair enough. Ross, the answer to Ross's question is no, it wasn't just originals. The only precursor was something had to air during 2022.
New episodes had to come out in this calendar year, because I do have Realist Hero season 2 was a continuation from 2021.
And I believe Darren already had Overlord season 4 on his list.
And Mob Psycho season 3.
Yep. John Knight says number 5 for him is Demon Slayer season 2, because 11 episodes for the Entertainment District arc and the dub voice actors killed it.
And Dragon Ball released in 1986.
Thank you.
Before Darren was born.
I was 5.
I was non-existent. Not even a thought.
Back to our top 5 list before we get too sidetracked. Number 3 for Angela.
Number 3 is going to be, again, fairly predictable for me. By now, my taste is somewhat... Y'all can tell what my taste is. 3 for me was Cyberpunk Edge Runners.
I can see that.
It's Studio Trigger at its best.
And Studio Trigger puts out a lot of good stuff.
If you haven't watched it, I highly recommend it. The voice cast is fantastic. It was extremely well written, and after having put probably 100 hours into the video game Cyberpunk 2077, as soon as it was announced that there was going to be an anime, I was on board, and it actually exceeded my expectations.
That's always good when you can have hype for a show and it goes beyond the hype. I feel Chainsaw Man, even though it's not something I would watch. I feel like from everything I've heard, Chainsaw Man lived up to the hype.
For the most part, it did.
Uh, all I'm gonna say to that is we'll get there.
And number
Because
three for Derek.
I can already assure you, even though I don't know a whole lot about it, source material, to my understanding, we haven't seen anything yet.
Bingo. Ross says number 4, Baby Ghost, peaceful and totally a what to recharge one's battery on cuteness.
I don't even think I've heard of that one.
Same.
John says number 4 for him is Welcome to Demon School Iramakun Season 3 because it has comedy and dub voice for the characters fits well.
I've been meaning to start that. I'm regretting not starting that because it actually looks to be an anime I'd actually enjoy.
I don't think I started that one either. Number 3 for Darren's list.
Kind of a surpriser here because it's one all three of us have seen at least a couple episodes of.
Okay.
And I'm gonna give that one to Call of a Night. Love the music. I didn't mind the story so much, and I was drawn to the art and the night lifestyle and how it was portrayed. And I'm just like, yeah, I can understand why people hyped it up as much as it did. Um,
For me,
it was good, and plus, Nazuna was adorable.
see, for me, that one was the exact opposite.
Oh, I know.
I had such high hopes for that. The art was gorgeous, the soundtrack was amazing. It had such potential, and for me, the writing just fell flat and killed it. And
Do
for
do
me,
you
writing
think
is everything.
do, do you think the writing would have changed if it had been an older protagonist instead of a middle schooler?
I don't know if it was too. I don't know. But the writing, but it was it just the writing fell flat for me, and that kind of killed it.
Understandable, I guess.
Number 3 for me was My Dress Up Darling. As I said earlier, absolutely loved the show when it first came out. You saw so many Marin cosplayers at conventions throughout the first half of the year. It was ridiculous. And her normal schoolgirl outfit, her in the cosplays, the way that they took you know the popular girl who was friendly with everybody and showed the fact that even the pretty girls can have an otaku side, enjoy the pervy games, be an actual real human, and not put up on a pedestal like a lot of times, especially in school. You see the cute, popular girls, you figure they're way out of your league. They wouldn't be interested in sports or anime or video games or things like that. And I think it did a great job of portraying that, you know, you hear people say all the time, anime is for everybody. And I think it was a good way of showing that anybody can be interested in this stuff. You don't know where you're going to find that, and to not judge a book by its cover per se.
And in the chat, John, as his number 3 is Attack on Titan, the final season, part 2. The cliffhanger was terrifying, but he's excited to see how it ends. I'm actually going to agree with that 100%. It just,
It
I,
needs to end.
I think for me, it did not make my top 5. It was Attack on Titan's one that I have. It's a show overall that I absolutely love, but it's at a point where I feel like it's gotten to a point where it needs to end, and they're dragging it out. But I am looking forward to seeing how it ends.
And Attack on Titan is the only show that I tried to give my 3-episode trial to, and I watched 1 episode and knew right then and there this is not for me. And I dropped it after 1 episode. It's the only show that I have done that to. Not saying it's a bad show, just saying that the storyline and the concept of it did not pique my interest in one show. Uh, that's one of the shows I put in the overrated category.
Yep. Oh, yeah, we touched on that at the very beginning.
Number 2. Get down to the meat and potatoes of everything here. Number 2 on your list, Angela.
Number 2, I'm actually gonna go with Spy Family. Spy Family was freaking fantastic. Anya's adorable. Yor is one of my absolute favorite characters.
When are you going to cosplay her? That would be a comfy cosplay.
Which one? Assassin Yor or Standard Yor? Or Work Yor?
Yes.
Yeah, all?
That's they go as Yor and then do 3 different outfits on the 3 different days of the convention.
The problem is right now I'd need a wig, and that would probably be too heavy. But we have talked about Spy Family a lot. I don't think I need to really reiterate anything beyond it is fantastic.
Mm-hmm. Number 2 for you, Darren.
This one is one that took over my anime list by storm earlier this year, taking away the spot from Full Metal Alchemist, and for good reason. And yes, it's a sequel, but it's this one's gonna go to Kaguya-sama. The amount of thought and effort put into that final episode or leading up to that final episode is one of the best build up slash scheme slash plots I have seen in anime, period. And on top of that, the chemistry between the characters is quite entertaining, and the interactions between the characters also entertaining. And there's never a dull moment in that show. And it's one of my favorite romances, I'd have to say. And if nothing else, like I said, it definitely had the most thoughtfulness or effort put into a confession I've ever seen.
And I know how much you loved that show.
Yes. Even though Hayasaka the maid is literally the best girl in the show. Period. End of story.
In the chat, Ross says number 3 for him was the strongest sage with the weakest crest. The fact it has dragon comedy, the main character understands what he wants, and his flaws in order to grow was good.
Okay, that was an enjoyable one. I'm not gonna lie.
I enjoyed it. It wasn't top 5 worthy for me, but it was definitely, at the start of the show, I said most of the stuff I watched this year was probably B or C tier if we were going to do a tier list. I had very few that were S tier or A tier. And the ones that I put in the S and A tiers are basically the 6 that made my top 5 with the tie at 4th. Strongest Sage would probably be a B tier for me.
So what was your number 2, Doug?
My number 2, of course, number 1, number 2 for me, everybody's already touched on in some way, shape, or form, so I won't go too deep into it. But number 2 for me was Call of the Night. As was stated already, the music was fantastic. It introduced us to Creepy Nuts. which you know their music is really good. I went and listened to more of their music outside of what you hear in the anime, and it's all really good. Like if Anime Boston could get them,
If Creepy Nuts did an American tour, I would have tickets. I will
I would
say
want
that as a
tickets too.
direct result of that, I looked up Creepy Nuts, found what they have on Spotify, and played it for like a week straight.
It is really, really good. And the art style is what drew me in. I won't lie. I went into it not knowing what to expect, so I didn't have high expectations. Now the storyline, slow. It's kind of a slow drag out for everything. Um, but it was very enjoyable. I liked the different twist on the vampire story. Because you see so many vampire style animes out there. The fact that Nazuna was quick to joke about pervy stuff, but easily got embarrassed about romantic stuff, kind of made it more relatable. The fact that she would have interest in a middle schooler who doesn't understand love and has a hard time knowing what it is without fully understanding and not knowing how he feels and stuff of that nature. Because she can tease him about the sexuality or sexual stuff, but if he tries something cute, she gets embarrassed, and you can see the awkwardness. And I thought that the way that they played off each other in that retrospect was very enjoyable. The art style, as Darren said, was unbelievable. How they were able to take nightlife and make it so enticing visually. Hats off to the team that put that together, the studio, all the animators, and everybody. You look at many animes, and nighttime is done in a dark, black, gray scale. The fact they used a lot of purples and yellows and brighter colors to make the night more enticing, I could not have that in my top five. And the last episode sealed the deal for it to be in my top two. I watched it the second time, and I'm like, yeah,
All right.
it's definitely number two on my list.
From the chat, we've got John's number 2 as Tokyo Ghoul. Is modern classic that he watched on Blu-ray. Music was great. Austin Tyndall, voice of Ken Kaneki, was really good. And then Ross, number 2, Bibliophile Princess. While I overjoyed on the romance, I understand how she struggles with anxiety and insecurities, and it could be hard for when you want to grow and change to be strong. So I loved it.
I think that's one thing that's interesting about about our top five lists. And Ross, you brought up a really good point there of when you can understand a show and have a emotional connection because it hits something that you can relate to, things of that nature. Those shows, whether popular by the public or not, are going to hit you more and have more of an impact on you personally than a lot of other people. And that's, I think, for a lot of us, that's why we have certain shows in our top fives that others don't, or why Spy Family is rated higher on some lists than others. And I only use that as an example because I know that's one that all three of us have.
I'm going to toss out an honorable mention that just missed my cut for a top 5 would almost certainly be number 6 if I'd actually, did that. For a very similar reason, Ruby Ice Queendom. That's one. Case in point, I've been watching Ruby, the American version, since day one, or since the trailers dropped. To see it become the first American animated show to get a Japanese dub, and then to have a Japanese studio put out their own version of it, or their own side story. So that watching all of that, watching Ice Queendom this year, that was one that I actually connected to. It was really interesting to see a Japanese take on these characters that I was already attached to.
What about you, Darren? Any honorable mentions before we have our top picks?
I had quite a few, but I would say was probably my number six. Um, I would have to give that to the Genius Prince's Guide to Raising a Nation Out of Debt. Um, which when it initially aired, I thought was going to be a blatant ripoff of the
Realist
other
Hero?
one. Yep, Realist Hero Rebuilt the Kingdom. However, they are totally different.
I can agree that that was a good show. I did enjoy watching that, but Realist Hero had just sucked me in so much that I can't say if I watched Genius Prince's Guide first that it would have that my feelings towards the two of them would be different because they both were good animes, similar topic but totally different ways about going around, you know,
Mhm.
rebuilding a kingdom.
And I've been meaning to watch Realist Hero, so maybe my opinion would change. But for the fact that I haven't seen Realist Hero, just in terms of thought provoking entertainment, that that one took the top. That one took a higher spot than what it normally would have.
For me, I would say honorable mention, and looking back through the list here of the shows that I wrote down that I watched, um, probably because it's the only version of this franchise that's to have a season 3 announced. I'm gonna go Love Live Superstar because I kind of like the way they did that version of Love Live a lot better than the previous three. They didn't start off season one. This is how we get 9 girls to join the group. Season one, they only had 5 members, which that intrigued me. The music was good. Season two, they brought in underclassmen and gained 4 more members to bring it up to 9. But they left it on a cliffhanger with our main character. Is she going to be transferring to another country to continue music schooling there, or what's going to exactly happen? They don't fully go into details about what her future holds. So the fact that it has a season 3, and I think it's getting a movie. Don't quote me on that. I know season 3 has been confirmed.
Um,
Um,
I'm just Ross actually says, "Take note, my list is just random. I've liked a lot of stuff this past year, so it's hard to think." Also, his honorable mention is Arafuerte season 2.
That was in I've, if we were going to be listing multiple honorable mentions, that would have been one of mine as well.
you could have thrown it in there.
Well, I'm kind of waiting for us to finish up. That way we can talk about the wild cards, the one-offs, the disappointments of the year, all the stuff in the second half.
So number one on your list, Angela.
Number one for me should be predictable, and that was Chainsaw Man. I loved. I will start by saying I absolutely hated the main character. But they wrote it in such a way where that didn't matter. It was just so it was so well done, and I just thoroughly enjoyed the entire thing from the get-go. And I can't wait to see what's next.
Uh, I'll definitely say the last couple episodes threw me for a loop. And I know that's what it was meant to do, but still.
I It was so talked about that I had no idea what to expect. I was actually expecting it to be a disappointment, but no, it lived up to all of the chatter.
And I've taken everybody's advice and being like, it's not a show you would like, so I'm like, okay, I won't watch it.
And I will actually agree. I will actually say that.
I'll agree to it.
I don't think you would enjoy it, and given how little we agree on,
There is a show coming up, and next week we're going to be looking ahead to the 2023 anime season stuff that we're planning on watching, things of that nature, the shows that we're looking forward to, not just winter 2023, but in the calendar year. Of course, a lot of focus will be on the winter 2023 because a lot of those shows are just starting to drop now or have dropped recently. So we
like
have a lot to
yesterday.
catch up. Like this whole past week. Today, I think there was like 6 shows that dropped. Episode 1s.
Yep. And Thursdays always seem to be the big day for stuff that I like watching.
And John Knight in the chat says, my honorable mention is Assassination Classroom because I've rewatched it on Toonami. And my favorite episode is season 2, episode 24, because at the end of the episode, I will never forget I cried.
Yes, Assassination Classroom will make you cry. Period. End of story. I beg of you to watch it once you ever find the time.
I started it, but at the time that it originally came out, I moved
moving.
3 times in 4 months and just lost where I was at. And it was a very trying time when that was airing that I just never went back to it.
But answer me this: did you enjoy what you saw before dropping it, or before putting it on hold, or would you need a refresher course to remember if you enjoyed it or not?
I would probably, to be honest, I would say I would need a refresher course. I do remember what the storyline was. I do remember some of the stuff that was going on. It was an interesting concept, that's for sure. Uh, but I don't remember exactly how far I made it, so I can't give an honest opinion of if I enjoyed it or not. If it was enjoyable enough for me to get past 3 episodes, but I don't know if now going back to the tier list, I don't know where I would put it. Would it be a C, a B, an A? It definitely wasn't S tier because I didn't stay with it.
Well, if I had to do that, I'd throw it in the A tier category.
I don't remember if that's one of the ones that's actually on my list or not. AKA the list that ever grows and
Ask
But
class.
do you remember the characters enough to visualize what it is in your head,
Is that for me or Angela?
Angela?
I never saw it. It's one of those,
Okay,
it might have been put on my list.
yellow octopus-like body with a teacher's hat on. Blue-haired main character that's often mistaken for a girl, and a guy with red hair and a girl with green hair.
Nope. I don't know. I have a very lengthy list on Crunchy and probably also some on Netflix and Hulu. But we got sidetracked.
Number 1 on Darren's list.
It's already been said. We've all said it. My personal favorite was Dress Up Darling. Writing, great. Character relatability, great. Trying to find someone like that, very hard and difficult right now, but definitely they're out there because I'm the only single one here. But yes, personal favorite of the year. It's stuck with me throughout the year.
For me, my number one, and it's already been said by everybody else. Darren had it at 4. Angela had it, I think, at 2. I have it at number 1. Spy Family. The thing that intrigued me the most about Spy Family was the fact that it was a concept that was very original, but also kind of obvious. Like you look at it and go, why have we not seen this before? Or have I seen it before? A spy who part of his mission has to find a wife and ends up unknowingly pretends to marry a woman who is an assassin for the opposite country. The fact that they threw in a telepathic child what makes it that much more entertaining, and the voice acting for Anya in both Japanese and the English dubs is fantastic.
You forgot the dog.
I haven't gotten there yet. I'm just going off of season 1 and how they start building the storyline, and
Uh,
then you see how Anya, knowing this different lives that her mom and dad have, but keeping everything a secret and trying her best to be the best child she can be so she doesn't get sent back to the orphanage again. It's like the character building has been great. The story has at times felt slow, but there's enough action and the characters are enjoyable enough that a slow parts in a story just haven't really mattered. You see like I'm the oldest one here, and I think back to like James Bond movies with some of the spy stuff. The assassin side of things. It's kind of neat to see just how pinpoint Yor is with her moves and stuff when they show her being in an assassin mode. You know, it, the animation of some of the stuff she does is fantastic. And as Darren was bringing in season 2 they get a dog, and the dog has been trained to do things, and now Anya, being a telepath, can read the dog's thoughts, and the dog can let her know, what it senses is going to happen in the future. So she's gaining knowledge of animal instinct, because we all know animals can sense and figure things out beyond the capability of what we can. And it's kind of a neat way that they put everything together. So, hopefully that was a good way of summing up, Spy Family, why I like it so much, because the writing has been good, the characters are fun. Yor, in my opinion, is number 1 waifu. That's why Marin gets best girl. Yor as an assassin is pinpoint, deadly, and knows her craft. Yor as a housewife is clumsy, forgetful, overbearing, nervous.
Will poison your food.
Yeah, just don't piss her off, and you'll stay alive. Like Angela. Shit, I saw the smile. So that's our top 5 list with a couple of honorable mentions in there. And Ross says his number 1 is A Haren's Son. Balanced, the romance is there, comedy, and it was a peaceful show. Runner-up tie for number 1 spot is RPG Real Estate. The girls were cute, comedy was funny, but does have some heartfelt moments. Which RPG Real Estate was good. That would probably be B tier for me. It was entertaining. It was kind of original. Had the cute dragon girl, but and John Knight, number 1, is My Hero Academia Season 6. I know some people think that this season is going to hurt, and I'm still watching the dub.
I will say I'm enjoying season 6. it's not as good as previous seasons. It's definitely not top tier for me, but it's fun. And we can get into the overhyped and nonsense.
I'm not saying anything.
I'll stay quiet this go around.
But no,
And when we talked over the past couple of weeks about, okay, let's do a 2022 year in review anime show, talk, top 5 list and stuff. It made us go back and think about, okay, what shows did we watch in 2022? I know when I was looking through my anime list at all the shows that aired in 2022, some of them I forgot about. Some of them were like, oh my god, that aired this year. I thought it was older.
and I had the opposite, whereas there were some that I was like, oh, that was 2021. Damn, that I really enjoyed that one.
Mm-hmm.
Because there were some that were the very end of 2021
that overlapped into 22. And in some ways, because there are some shows that the Japanese season ended in 2021, but the English stuff continued into 22.
and subsequently it's one of those. Well, but no, there were a few that I started, watched episodes, and then just didn't go back to for XYZ reasons.
And we all have those shows that we would give the crap award to because it was just shit.
For the fall 2022 season, with being out of the country for 2 weeks and then just the amount of stuff I was doing, the only shows we actually kept up with, and by kept up with I mean technically was 1 week behind because of the day we watched it, were Spy Family and Chainsaw Man. And so I still need to go back and finish Gundam, which from Mercury, which I was really enjoying, but then just we never found the time to go back to it. That said, earlier in the year, there were some ones that I had high hopes for that were disappointments.
And I know that there were multiple shows this year that had high hopes, very much hyped by fans, voice actors, studios, that just really didn't hit for whatever reason.
I feel like one of the ones for you that, at least when we talked, it seemed like the biggest disappointment for you was Date Alive.
No, the biggest disappointment for me was Devil is a Part-Timer.
Agreed.
I had so much high hopes for this. When it was announced they were finally getting a second season, I was excited. I was like, all right, I'm ready to watch this. This is going to be fantastic. I went back, rewatched the original, and got hyped up again because the original still was as good as I remembered it being. And season 2, I don't know if it was the addition of the child that kind of threw me for the loop. I don't know if it was the writing, but it just didn't have the same feel as the original. And that can be expected when there is such a long layover between when the original comes out. And if you're waiting 7 years to drop a season 2, you're not gonna you're not going to get the same effect. I think if they had come right out shortly thereafter with a season 2, it might have hit better. But I was just expecting so much more good stuff from it, and I was kind of disappointed. No, I'm not kind of. I was very disappointed. I had more hopes for it,
Agreed.
and that has nothing to do with voice acting or anything like that. I just felt like the story just didn't feel like a Devil is a Part-Timer type story. But
Damn it.
that's just my take on that. Date A Live season 4 was also a very big disappointment for me. And that being said, season 3, in my opinion, was the best season of Date A Live. Love the characters that came in. The storyline was really good. You got to see some interesting developments with origami and everything. Season 4, I didn't care for the new spirits that they brought in. And at first, I was watching it in Japanese as it was being dropped. I'm like, okay, maybe I don't like this because I'm too used to the English dub as opposed to the Japanese voice acting. Just because I was so used to watching the first 3 seasons in English. So we waited until it got dubbed and started and tried again. And both times, I don't think I got 5 episodes in. It was just like, this is kind of meh. And it wasn't anything against the voice acting. It wasn't anything against, the studios or anything like that. I just felt like the storyline was not as interesting as the first 3 seasons. So that's why those 2 are on my list as, very disappointing shows of 2022.
Now, one of my letdowns I've already talked about. We're not going to go back to that. But another one that I had actually high hopes for, enjoyed the first couple episodes, and then it just started to be garbage, was Orient. It turned into just basically the formulaic every other shonen anime. And that made me sad.
Ross in the chat says, dishonorable mention, World's End Harem. They blocked kissing.
Yeah. World's End Harem was entertaining. That's about all I can say. In terms of story content and also more questionable anime for the year, Harem in Another World, I think I liked better than World's End Harem.
I would agree. I would agree that World's End Harem was better than Harem in Another World.
Even though the girls weren't human, they were anthropomorphic. They still, I don't know, they were more
No.
relatable, cuter, however you want to phrase it, compared to the girls from World's End Harem.
Yeah, World's End Harem was. I didn't even finish that one. I almost put that on the same level as Peter Grill, and the only reason I know that had a second season that aired in 2022. I hated the first season so much I dropped it after like 4 or 5 episodes because I'm like, this is just the same stupid crap over and over and over again in one season, and it's the same, and it's like, that's why I don't like or can't continue watching long running shonens, because you see the same arc just kind of looped over and over and over.
That wasn't him in the show. Well, never mind. Speaking of over and over and over and over, did you actually finish Pop Team Epic Season 2 since Season 1 drew your attention so much?
Oh god, Season 2, I watched one episode and was like, how did I enjoy this garbage? And season 2 was one episode, I'm like, this is... No. I think Season 1 was just kind of a novelty. It was fun because it was different and stupid and weird and Fooly Cooly-esque. Season 2 was like, one episode of Season 2, I'm like, this is just crap.
Ross in the chat, at least Harem in a Labyrinth got an uncensored version on Crunchyroll, unlike World End Harem.
Well, at least you didn't try and watch it in China. They're censoring blood with white stuff.
Well, that lends itself to a whole nother discussion that
Exactly.
we probably don't want to have, if at least not tonight.
Yeah.
Just saying, there's all different types of censorship, and sometimes the
Agreed.
censorship works against you.
Um, I will say, traveling overseas got really interesting because when we travel, we often bring the Apple TV with us so that we can keep up with certain content because during downtime, like before bed and stuff. But we could, even though we got the device working, we couldn't actually watch certain things because of locations and whatnot and compatibility with like hotel TV.
And question from Ross in the chat, and I don't know if any of us actually watched this one, but Trapped in a Dating Sim.
The
Okay,
world,
good, bad.
trapped in a dating sim, the world is tough for mobs or something or another. Didn't watch that one.
I think tried to watch the first episode and was like, I have too much other stuff I'm watching right now to continue this. So one episode didn't lure me in, but also I don't remember exactly when that came out. So let me go back and look and see. It, something tells me it might have been a summer show.
It was
Uh,
something along those lines because I'm pretty sure it got a second season here. This either this season or it's getting one.
Spring.
Let's find out.
It
Dun,
was
dun.
it was a spring show, which surprisingly I was only watching 5 shows in spring, and 2 of them I didn't finish. So, but it did not intrigue me enough to go beyond one episode, and I don't even remember if I watched a full episode of that. Looking at the list of shows, and as I mentioned earlier, I watched 29 anime in 2022. The summer was my biggest time where I started 9 shows. 3 of them I didn't finish. Then Devil is a part timer. I couldn't get through. Rent a Girlfriend turned to crap. For Meal and Gold was okay. I think the reason I didn't finish it is because I was watching so much other stuff.
I need to I need to go back and watch that one. But
But it also
I'll
felt like
say
summer was also the season of musical animes. There's a ton of music based anime, including Love Live Superstar Season 2, Luminous Witches, which was Strike Witches, the idol anime, and then Shine Post, which topped everything music wise in for the year, I think, for me.
oh, I probably watched more this past season than I have all year. Just because this past season, the fall season had a lot of good shows. Um, The Eminence in Shadow, I keep telling you, you need to start because I think it would be up your alley. Um, Uzaki, I'm glad you finally I'm glad you watched that one. Now, are you caught up to the most recent season or no?
Um, I'm watching it dubbed because that's how I watched the first season. So whatever the most recent episode, and with Crunchyroll not working on my computer right now, I have to wait till after the show so I can go watch it on the TV over the Roku box. And
And as far as favorite romance of the year, that's got to go to More Than a Married Couple, but not Lovers. Truly a surprising take on um, romance. It reminded me of a show called Love and Lies. Did you? Was that on your list of stuff to check out, Doug, or no?
It was not actually. I don't. I think like reading the synopsis of it, I was like, it doesn't seem like something that would pique my interest. Maybe I'll check it out if I have time to watch extra stuff, but I never really found the time to watch extra stuff
Mm.
because, as Angela puts it, the life, universe, and everything else.
And I will give you props for recommending Beast Tamer to me because that definitely was up my alley.
Ross says, Darren, it's a freaking Toradora sequel.
I haven't seen the original Toradora, so I haven't seen Toradora, which I know it's a classic. Go ahead and chew me out, spit me out,
I
whatever.
haven't
But
seen it either, so don't feel bad.
I'm just saying though, I've heard so much about Toradora, but mm,
I will say that looking ahead to guests I want to get on the show, bringing up Beast Tamer, I didn't know that Giovanni Cruz had a role in that, so I would love to have her on the show again to talk about her role as one of the fairies. Krista
was it
McGuire is
Sora?
also the kids.
Was it
Oh,
Sora or Runa?
I think it was Sora.
So the reserved one.
I have to go back and look again. The cat in the English dub, be prepared for a ton, ton of cat puns, but it it kind of made the character like it was an it kind of got annoying after a while, but because it fit the character, you kind of overlooked it.
So Bunny didn't annoy you, but meow, meow, all that stuff did.
Uh, some of the puns and stuff, like some of the ways that they had the cat girl talk, and I'm drawing a blank on her name right now. I apologize to the listeners out there for not remembering her name, Kanade.
Kind of day, yeah.
But instead of saying something like you're not kidding me, she'd be like, you're not kidding me, right?
Oh wow.
And anytime she referred to herself, she said meow.
Wait, which one was this?
This was Beast Tamer.
Because there was one that's something that's been done. There was a character in the rock climbing anime from 2021 that did that as well.
Like Kanade is an absolutely cute character, and I did not see the anime you're referring to, Ange.
I know what you're talking about, Ange, but didn't watch it.
But one of the not main characters talked like a cat and just all the cat puns, and it was that just
Beast Tamer is, for those of you who might be interested in checking out Beast Tamer if you haven't done so, it's a storyline that's been done a million times. Some cute characters. It's something good to watch if you want to, watch something that it's kind of wholesome. There's not much pervertedness in there. It's not much ecchi in there. It's something that, for the most part, would be safe for just about any age group, I would think. Outside of some blood and violence and stuff like that, but it's if they watch Pokemon with magic and things of that nature, I don't think that they would be deterred by Beast Tamer. The worst you see is the Beast girls in like nightgowns. There's no panty shots. There's not much lewdness going on. Even when there's, you know, insinuations of lewdness, it kind of gets brushed aside by the main character because he's so passive.
Mm-hmm. And it's following a trope that's kind of becoming like the new normal for some of the stuff. You got a hero or a character that's kicked out of something to do with the hero or the devil, and it's focusing on them. And to be honest with you, this guy, uh, the party he's kicked out of is comparable to that of the party from Redo of Healer in terms of the way he was treated. Not maybe not to Redo of Healer's extremities, but it was pretty bad.
But Beast Tamer, it's interesting. And it also falls along the lines of, because of the people he was associated with, he never truly understood the talents that he possessed because he was looked down upon because of his class. And when you look at beast tamers, you know, a lot of times in these animes they are looked down upon because they can't fight, they don't have magic, they don't do this, that, or something else. And Rain is able to do things that are somewhat viewed at as impossible by many people. And to him, it was the norm because of the village he grew up in, which then got destroyed. So what has been normal to him is extraordinary to everybody else because he's the only person left that can do what he does. And not talking about just being a beast tamer, but being a beast tamer to the level that he is, where he can tame multiple beasts at once, where in the story they tell you it's hard for some beast tamers to control one, let alone 10, 20, hundreds. Plus, on top of that, he also gains the ability to, or learns how to tame insects as well, to where he can have, you know, short-term contracts with bees and other insects, which is kind of an interesting take of it all too.
And also, not every beast tamer was able to obtain contracts with the level that he did, because every single one he did is some of the highest rank that you can get. Because they always say in the beginning, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to match with you.
And then he just, you know, because of the storyline, it's like boom, he gets this one and he gets that one, and you know, he's able to defeat stronger enemies because he's a beast tamer and because he figures out, hey, I can use birds who have you know, some form of poison to weaken an enemy, or bees that have a that can give their enemies, you know, paralysis and paralyze them. He's able to take out a ton of people at once. So it's neat to see how he slowly, you know, people slowly come to realize he's the good guy. I also like the fact that they um, kind of in a different way portray the hero's party that is always, they're wonderful people. They kind of make them the bad guys in this. And I like the fact that like you grow to hate the hero's party. Not just from episode 1, but as the series goes on and you see more interactions between Rain and the hero's party, you really grow to hate those characters.
He basically, I guess you could compare the relationship in that regard to Goku and Frieza, as in Frieza never gives up on killing Goku or harming Goku, and Goku's always like, bring it on anytime. And that's basically what it boils down to.
And Angie's just sitting there. I don't know any of this stuff. I'm just going to wait till this passes.
Pretty much. I'm
I do have a question for Ange, and I don't know. I don't think you jumped on this one, but probably the biggest surprise of the season for me, anyway, was Akiba Maid Wars. Was that one that you had checked out?
No, that one. It was one I heard about it. I looked it up, and it didn't see it, just from the description alone, didn't grab me.
I'd say give it at least one episode and tell me your thoughts on it because it is unique and different. Um, I liked it, and but then again, it kind of reminded me in terms of the uniqueness, like Dora Hetero, but at the same at the same time, it's just I don't know. It was an interesting take on Akiba and a crossover between basically maids and the Yakuza.
Damn it, that's not what I wanted. My anime list. Why do you?
And again, thank you to everybody who's tuning in tonight, or if you're listening to us on podcast after the fact. Thank you so much for listening to us. We enjoy doing the shows. We've been having fun. We will be bringing guests back on starting on the 22nd of January with Jeff Fulb from um, Vermont Gatherings. And it's going to be a lot of fun to have Jeff on. He's got a lot of stuff coming up this year. And we're going to have some good times this year. We have other guests that we're working on bringing on. I know we're in talks with our good friend Gavin Goska from Home Circle Media. He's been having some computer issues for the last month or two. So he messaged me the other day saying he has finally gotten a chance to watch some shows, catch up, and actually take some time to relax. So that's good. We'll have him back on the show here, hopefully within the next couple of months. Also, some interesting guests potential lined up that we're talking with, including our friend Julili emailed me about an interesting subject, which we'll talk about off the air. And but going back to last year's animes and stuff, what would you say the worst show that you watched was?
Worst show that we watched that we finished, or worst show that we watched or attempted to watch?
Attempted to watch.
Let's see. Nothing really from this season.
Oh crap! Doug, I think we're both doing the same thing because we did that by accident.
Whoops.
And I missed whatever y'all are talking about.
We got some spam bots, and
Andrew and I were both going through and trying to remove some bots. Some people that were in just kind of trolling the chat a little bit, talking about anime, it sucks and things of that nature. So
okay.
I will let you figure out if you can unblock HH. That was an accident.
I cannot. That's what I was trying to ask you.
Because I was looking to see, and
because I clicked on one that you had already clicked on, and it jumped to immediately the next one.
So we are sorry, HH, if you can hear us. That was not on purpose. Ange and I were both doing the same thing.
That might be. God damn it!
Language lady.
Sorry. Grr.
Gurren Lagann.
Actually, a good anime.
Yes, need to finish, but yes, agreed.
You don't.
You don't
It,
see many shows where they're literally throwing galaxies around. I get it.
there's also a point at which you can stop watching and have it be perfectly fine, and not watch the last few episodes.
And to those of you that aren't aware, yes, they literally throw galaxies around.
Yep. And how do we fix this? Settings. Haha.
You knew it. You knew that the bots were going to come at some point.
Yep. And it says there's no, and in the settings it says there's no banned users.
Don't you love technology?
Yep.
Especially when it's the first time that we've had to
We
deal with this.
Yep.
Since making the switch, yes. Because you used to have to do it on Hazy all the time.
Yeah. So HH, again, we apologize for the unnecessary blocking. Unfortunately, when you have trolls coming into the chat, and you have multiple people with the controls to try to do things, mistakes happen. I'm sorry. Don't hate us. But all right. So Ross has a question for Darren.
I didn't do it.
And Ross says, okay, Darren, question for you while Doug and Angela are working on this. If quantum leaping was real, what would you do with it?
Quantum leaping. Never even heard that phrase.
It was a TV show where a guy could leap through time into other people's bodies to try to change events that happened.
Sounds like Charlotte. No idea, senor.
I didn't watch many episodes of Quantum Leap, but I think I enjoyed enough where I did watch more than one.
Also, you're spelling my name wrong, Ross.
Oh, and it says he was jumping through time within his own lifetime. So within the years he was actually born to try to change things.
No idea, Ross.
So here's a fun question. We were talking about recreators and the thoughts of anime, manga, video game characters coming to life in the real world. Thinking about it in reverse, what animes would you want to go into?
High School DxD.
Why? Because you want Zenobia that bad?
Yeah. But no, in reality, what shows would I literally have fun in? I'd say Setokai Yakuwindamo would be a lot of fun. Uh, boy. I know you'd want to go into Rosario Vampire, wouldn't you, Doug?
I don't know, honestly. Rosario was fun to watch way back when, but looking at shows now, it's like what would be like more interesting for me to be a part of? especially interacting with main characters.
Here's an idea. Go join Tanya.
Oh, hell no. That'd be like me telling you to go join Ainz.
I'd probably survive with Heinz.
What about you, Ange? If you could go into an anime, what would you want to?
Ross, the fact you even brought up Mocking Key, heck no. Ugh. They
God.
ruined that with season 2. Season 1 wasn't the greatest. Season 2 was just no.
See, I could go with the obvious answer for me and say Ruby. But there's a lot of good ones. Okay. Grr.
I mean, part of me would say something like Show by Rock Mashi My Resh because I enjoyed that so much. Part of me I would say something along the lines of like Realist Hero because it just seemed like that was kind of a cool character.
Ross, I do too, just so you know.
I mean, Dress Up Darling would be a fun one to be a
About to
part of, I
say,
think.
I was going to throw Dress Up Darling in there. That would be a perfect one. But also, Mysterious Girlfriend X. Wouldn't mind that one either.
Um,
Oh, uh, uh, duh, 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 duh,
Doug,
uh,
Doug, I think you have to do it from YouTube.
From YouTube?
Yes.
Okay.
Ross, way, way, way oversized. Heck no. There is such a thing as too big.
Because everything I'm coming up with is saying that it needs to be done through YouTube.
Okay.
Too many bots spamming the chat at once. Gosh darn it.
Thank you.
And I am not. Okay, let me log
And
this
and
account.
Ross, you're getting closer with the spelling. You missed an R.
What does this do?
Senran Kagura. Wow.
That's a show I haven't heard in a while.
Oh.
Okay, we
By the way, Doug,
we unblocked. I was able to unblock him.
Oh,
You
good.
should be back, HH.
By the way, Doug, I don't know if this counts as 2023 or 2022, but I wanted to ask you about it, and if you don't want to talk about it till later, that's fine. Isekai Quartet movie.
Isekai Quartet movie. When did that actually air? What?
I found it on like the second or the third.
I'm trying to see when that actually came out.
The movie was in fact 2022.
Okay.
Aired in June.
Oh, so it's older than okay. So that is a 2022 Isekai Quartet the movie.
Another World.
That was an interesting one. Darren, for those of you who don't know, Darren messaged me a couple days ago and was like, "Have you seen the Isekai Quartet movie?" And I was like, "No, I didn't know there was one." And so I went and watched it. Friday night, I think I watched it. and it wasn't bad. It was kind of neat to see how the groupings work together, including some people who didn't always get along. It was very entertaining to see how useless Aqua still was. I think that added quite the comedy to it. The fact that they brought in a Megaman clone or Golem was interesting. And the fact that they made Ainzul Gon act as a Chinibia was hysterical. Overall, I'd probably give it like a 6.5 out of 10.
Agreed. It wasn't thrilling, but at the same time, it wasn't boring either.
It was what you would expect from Isekai Quartet.
Yep. And I love how they're hinting at Chamosuke having more power than what people realize. Like, if I'm not mistaken, in Konosuba, Chamosuke actually plays a bigger role in the novel. There later on, like Chamosuke is not just a cat.
So, putting the message out there for HH, you should be able to return. I did go back through and correct an oops. But fun way to start off the new year with trolls. It goes to show that we're growing and people are finding us and taking notice of us. I guess we're big enough for people to want to troll us now.
Yay.
And you know what? Yeah.
Attention is attention, whether it's good or bad. That
The
means you're
the
doing something right.
the
Good.
borderline hate comments. Yes, we can, HH. Yay, welcome back. I'm so sorry about that. But between the borderline hate comments and the clearly troll comment directed in my direction, just no.
Y'all are gonna have to tell me what kind of comments later, because I didn't get to see them before they were deleted.
Well, the one directed at me was someone put out of with no context whatsoever, asking me if I was married.
Oh. Go sick. Haven't seen Ross.
And HH says rumors of my band have been greatly exaggerated.
Hey, well, we're starting off the new year with a bang, and and I suppose if this is a trend, we're gonna have more technical difficulties before the year's over.
And it just is showing me that I need to have more tabs open than I already do.
But your computer can barely handle a handful of tabs open.
Or I've got to find somebody reliable in the chat who would be willing to be a moderator. Which
Or
wouldn't be
I
a
need
bad
to
thing.
actually log in with the admin settings you gave me instead of using the link every single time.
Actually, you would need to log into YouTube and monitor the chat through the YouTube settings.
Or Facebook or Twitch, depending on where this particular instance was YouTube, but I think the last time it was actually Twitch.
Yeah, we've gotten some trolls through Twitch. And I don't know if HH heard our question or not. But the question that I had was, if you were able to go into an anime world, any show in anime, which one would you want to go into? Another one that came to mind for me would be Rail Wars, just because I'm a Trainiac.
Actually, now that I say that, there's a tabletop role-playing system that is 100% based on the idea of anime. And with one of my groups, we did play it where everybody built a character from one of their favorite animes. And then basically the entire premise was we basically, as a collective party, got isekai'd from one anime setting to the next to the next. And for that, I did actually build a character from Ruby. So I suppose that is fitting.
And that's an interesting side of things too. Um, talking about how interchangeable, especially within the past couple of years, it's been more so very interchangeable between the tabletop gaming world, anime world, the comic world. Like all of these geekdoms are coming together in some way, shape, or form. You're seeing more crossovers at these respective conventions. I'm sure it's not uncommon to go to PAX Unplugged, but still see people cosplaying from an anime or things of that nature. You're going to Anime Boston and you have a whole area designated for tabletop gaming and RPGs. And go to a Comic-Con and you have people selling dice, people selling anime figures. You get everything.
Case in point, at Anime Boston, there were people dressed up as Critical Role characters. Now, Critical Role is a D&D podcast.
So it's kind of neat to see how everything's crossing over, and I think it would be fun, especially for people who, like myself, who don't fully understand the tabletop world and character sheets and how to create a character. I think it would be fun for a future episode uh, to have to name a character and have Angela try to figure out the stats for that character.
If we want to go down that rabbit hole for a couple hours, I will do that with D&D Beyond. Share my screen and then just build, and then we could do it as a collective, including comments from the chat, where I'll just there's a step-by-step character builder that I'll just share my screen and let everybody see it, and then you all can decide what we're gonna get.
That could be fun. And I'm and some news that has come my way recently. In March, I will be going to Boston for the International Anime Music Festival tour. For our good friend Rob had an extra ticket, so I'll be going out on a Thursday night to check out some international anime music, which I am excited about because I actually saw that Thanksgiving weekend come across my feed when they were going to be at Foxwoods, and I was like, I kind of want to go to the Foxwoods one, and then, but not knowing how much tickets and stuff, where Rob brought it up, and I was like, okay, yeah, that sounds like fun. Said it's not far from him, and says I could stay with him, so lodging would not be an issue for me, and I just lose a couple days of work, but I have sick time I can use for that. So
wait, are they also going to be at Foxwoods?
I believe so.
Because when you messaged me about that, the venue is one I can literally walk to.
And that's the venue we're going to, is the one in Boston. I was first, it was first brought to my attention.
That makes sense. Boston would be what comes up on my feed because city.
Yeah. But I'm trying to pull the page up now, because it was saying, yeah, so Thursday, March 16th in Boston, and then Friday, March 17th in Connecticut, which the Connecticut date, I believe, that one was at Foxwoods
That's
Resort and Casino.
that almost assuredly is Foxwoods. Wait, March 17th? That's St. Patrick's Day.
St. Patrick's Day is on a Friday this year?
The 17th is St. Patrick's Day.
And then the artists that will be attending, and I'm going to put this into a separate screen so I can share the screen. Because I don't, and I'll be honest, I don't know much about the artists that are going to be here, but if it's anything like Oscar was, I don't need to know exactly the music because it's going to be really good. We have Gumi from Megpoid, Mari Nasu, Lilliput, or I think it's supposed to be like a couplet or apocalypse, but Lily PSE. We have Kizuna AI original Singeroid, Himehina. So looks like it could be really entertaining, and I trust Rob's taste in music. And for those of you interested, here are the dates that they are doing their US tour. They're also doing a Europe tour. So this is what's going to be going on through February and March in the US and Mexico and Canada. Because I see dates in Vancouver in here, Montreal, Toronto. Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, New York City, Boston, Philadelphia, National Harbor, Maryland.
Philly, Charlotte, Jacksonville, Durham.
Then we're going to be in Denver, Kansas City, Albuquerque, Phoenix, LA, St. Paul, St. Louis, Missouri.
Not a whole heck of a lot, not as much as you would think in the Midwest.
But not really, but they are hitting like the big cities.
Yeah.
What you would expect from like a tour like this. And
then
you'd
expect a little bit more in the Midwest, but.
And then in Europe, they have dates.
Hungary, Poland,
in
Germany.
May and April.
Hungary, Poland, Germany, Denmark, Norway, Sweden, Finland, Ireland, back to Germany, back to the Netherlands, Belgium, Switzerland, and Austria. And LU, I don't know.
So it's looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. So a lot of different music, and it's a anime music festival. So I'm curious as to how many songs I'm going to know. How many artists am I going to recognize shows from and things of that nature. So and I found a picture that I need to send to you, Angela, because Casey Fox had an idea of something that she wanted to do, build your own commission a build your own Chimera that she was going to be doing starting at the Winter Renaissance Fair. And Angela participated in rolling dice to build her own Chimera as a trial. And I just sent her a picture of the art of the rolls that she had, and this is what Nan's take of it was.
That's very interesting.
I thought it was one of the cooler ones of the bunch.
No, the artwork is gorgeous. I don't know what I expected.
And for our viewers out there, I will share the screen so that they can see as well. I don't have the paperwork on me.
HH Baby Metal is fantastic. I got to see them in concert. They put on an amazing show. The question to you, Doug, is do you know Ram Rama? Are you familiar with Baby Metal?
I Baby Metal I love. I I am jealous that Angela got to see Baby Metal. I do not know Ram Rama by name, but there is a chance that I probably have heard their music.
Um, Doug, that was the year all of my disposable income went into concert tickets. I did 9 shows. That was Baby Metal was somewhere in the middle of 9 shows in 12 months.
Oh, good God. So the roles that led to this picture, does it have eyes? Yes. 6. Feline-based eyes, no horns, no ears, a canine face wolf. Wings, yes, 1 with feathers. No legs. Had feathers on the body, and the tail was feline, 1 tail as a lion. So this is some of the art style that you can see from uh, Casey Fox if you come to any of the conventions that she's going to be vending. So far, the only confirmed one is the Winter Renaissance Fair coming up in February in Essex, Vermont. Well, we'll have Jeff Fulb on in 2 weeks to help promote that. Also going to be, she has put in an application for Artist Alley at Colossal Con East and Anime Boston. We don't know if she's going to be getting accepted to those just yet. PuchiCon, she may put an application in there due to the fact we may be closer to that area. But time will tell
And
as to other areas.
irony of ironies, or possibly our first guest of the year, and I will be not present because a buddy of mine had a spare ticket to go see Hamilton and asked me if I wanted to go with. So that's what I'm doing that night.
So our first guest of the year, we won't have Angela. And the irony is, Angela, you have wanted to go to his shows multiple times
Yep.
in the last year plus. And I don't know if you've had a chance to even talk to him.
I believe I did in 2022. I think that was Jeff Fulb.
Possibly. You didn't miss many shows, so you probably had a chance to talk with him.
But it's one of those. As I like to say, life, the universe, everything.
But that's it for tonight's show. Thank you so much to everybody who tuned in. We apologize about the confusion with the bots, but that's the fun of live podcasting, live radio, whatever you want to call it.
Yep.
The world we live in where people feel like they have to troll just to make themselves feel better.
Hey, we apparently
Ross, have a wonderful night.
Trolls.
But you know what? I've always viewed it as if people are going to take the effort to start doing stuff like that, you've got to be doing something right because they're paying attention.
Exactly.
Until next week, when we look ahead to the 2023 year of anime, I know we all have shows we're excited about, a lot of sequels coming out, some interesting light novels and manga and stuff that have come across my news feeds that people have made me aware of. So we'll touch on all of that stuff next week right here with more Anime-Zing Radio. Until then, have a wonderful week, and we'll see you next Sunday.
See you later.
Right.